Thursday afternoon chat. Your favorite artists with Jayar.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, will you please help me welcome today's guest, Mr. Micah Tyler. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fantastic.
It is only had you on the show one time.
Yeah.
And so you've gone off and become a major success and recording artist. So congratulations.
You know what? I appreciate that. I haven't done a whole lot of anything for 15 months, but back in a former life, I did play some music. So
let's start this interview doing something that I've been wanting to do for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And with the help of some talented friends, well, they pretty much hung a green curtain. But no, there's more to it. I mean, that's not all that it is, right? There's more, Alex? Yeah. Okay, there's a lot more to it.
Yeah.
The green screen world, I'm new to it. So I wanted to give artists, guests, the chance to pick the background scene.
Oh, what a luxury.
So I have a list, almost like a menu when you walk into some sort of a, sit-down place, and there's like, here's the few things we're offering today.
Okay.
So you've now seen...
Like a really nice, like an Olive Garden type of situation.
Yes,
okay,
like something fancy.
Something really high-end, special occasions.
Today, your options for background are a jungle scene, a pirate-themed background, or the moon. What would you like to go with?
So fun fact, I have a secret side project that I want to do a completely pirate-based EP, okay? Under the stage name Micah Tyler was one thought. But I've got a couple just...
How would you like an air personality named Jayar?
Oh my gosh, this is happening.
This is meant to be.
So pirate ship would be like an amazing thing. And I've got a couple songs that we can do today if you want to. I've got a song about a guy who's in love with a girl they went to high school with, and she just stands outside in the hallway waiting for her to come by. It's called Davy Jones' Locker. And then I have one. It's a rap battle between a couple of pirates. And here comes the hook. And so I've got just you tell me when you're.
Let me hit the button. So
please
we can do this. Here we go. Okay. There we go.
Oh.
All right. The only way you're going to see this is going to the JR Show, Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff.
Amazing.
All right. Let's get into the actual interview. This was actually the first question I wrote down. Do you, Micah Tyler, ever have days where you miss driving a sausage delivery truck? like you just like, I'm tired of that was actually relaxing.
Here's the deal. I was waking up at 2:30 in the morning. I was loading up 300 boxes of sausage inside of freezer packages and then delivering to grocery stores. So every day, I think about it all the time. No, here's the deal. There was definitely some fun that I got to go and like kind of do some things here and there and have some alone time, quiet time kind of thing. But it's a little better getting driven on a bus somewhere and waking up and playing a concert than to be chunking sausage out.
It's better waking up eating sausage at a 5-star restaurant than...
You know what? Even a 2-star. Yeah, I mean, whatever. I'll take it. I'll take that over waking up super early. Anyway.
This is going to be an awesome transition.
Yeah.
Let's go from you driving sausages all over Texas to talking about walking free.
I mean, that feels seamless to me.
While we're talking in front of a pirate theme.
Yeah, of course.
This is the weirdest.
This is what I had envisioned. We're like, let's talk about songs. Like this is the setting I want to do it in.
Yeah,
it's great. Yeah, Walking Free is it's a song that I love a ton. It's just it's super hopeful. I feel like that through the whole pandemic, I think we all felt a little stuck. And just kind of feels like we're kind of shut down, locked down, waiting for something to happen. And, the famous phrase, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. But sometimes that first step feels like 1,000 miles sometimes. And I think kind of getting back into normalcy and walking out of this stuff, it's a big deal for us to kind of go back to trusting things and taking those steps and stuff. So this song is like this like anthemic thing of like, hey, I'm walking away from something. I'm walking towards something better. And it's taking those steps and trusting Jesus along the way. And so I'm pumped to kind of maybe be kind of like an anthem, kind of walking into some normalcy here.
The other day, let's go with a serious question for a second. The other day, I had this crazy 4-hour window, Micah, where I was driving home from the station, and like for some reason, the sun that day was like looked like a giant orange that was setting. It was going down after a hard day, but it was just huge as it was going down. And maybe it's being artistic types. You think a little deeper about stuff, but for some reason, while I was driving, I'm like, there is a giant ball of fire in the sky that keeps me warm and grows things. Like, that's weird.
Yeah.
And then I got home, and then the next morning, my wife had got a pineapple at the store, like a whole one. We don't do that. We buy.
Sure.
So I'm like, let me eat that. So I chopped into it, and it was one of the greatest, sweetest tastes I'd ever tasted in my life. And I was like, this just grew out of the ground. and it's got this. And then I went to go prepare for the radio show, opened up a laptop, and the screensaver was one of those galaxy, like where you see the galaxies.
Yeah.
So it was bang, bang, bang. 3 things where my mind was like, the magnificence of God is just, it's everywhere. And so I just want to lead into a question for you. Just like, is there anything that's sort of small and a daily thing that you're like, you stop and think, God is magnificent, and I see it in a,
Yeah, I mean, so I spent the last 10 years before pre-pandemic traveling a lot. Like I was gone 200 days a year, spending a lot of time away. I've got a wife and 3 kiddos who they're my favorite people in the world. And for me, I think that one of the biggest blessings, we as a family, we prayed every single day, God, would you take this pandemic away? Would you, we know that you can heal. We're asking for things to be, for us to get through these things. We don't want people being sick and stuff. But we also said, God, don't let us waste the moments that we have. And I think one thing that God's really taught me over the last little bit is I just kept waiting for tomorrow, thinking like, oh my God, maybe something tomorrow will change or whatever. And I would think about the things that I was doing before and like, I wish I would have done something different. I would have been more prepared for this thing coming. But I realized the only thing that we have is today. And so the beauty that God's shown me is that the only thing that I can impact today is what's in front of me. And God gave me a year to spend with my wife and 3 kids. I've been married to my wife for 17 years now. We were high school sweethearts before that, so we dated for 3 years. I've never seen her more in a calendar year than I did last year. And so really waking up in my bed, taking my kids to school, just being able to be straight up dad mode for a full year was one of the most beautiful, just life-giving, wonderful things. Now, they're ready for me to go back out on tour. They're like, you've been home enough, you're kind of messy. But no, it's been like just little things like that, like sitting on a soccer field, watching my kids play, being able to go and sit at a meal, and like the food that we got to prepare together, and we cooked in the dinner, we're listening to music, we're hanging out, we're sitting together, and we're praying as a family. I'm just going, God, please allow me to be appreciative of this second right here, because I'll never get it back again.
You're talking Ecclesiastes type stuff, because it's like there's this moment where he says there's nothing better for men and to eat, drink, and the enjoyment of life. And I feel the same as you. I work for like 7 radio stations and blah, blah, blah. And so I have one marble dancing around by the time I get home. So my family's like, he's don't even. So like to get that back where you can go, God meant for us to laugh and enjoy food and color and all these things. And sometimes you got to go,
Yeah. So
that's good.
It's been a beautiful reminder. And here's the deal. It's also made me look at the things looking forward. Like whenever we do get to go back out and do shows, it makes me so much more appreciative that we get this opportunity now to do these things. But I always want to go back home and be able to value that. I'm going to value it even more when I'm away from them, and I'm going to value it even more when I'm in front of them. So it's been a real blessing.
Micah, I was telling a coworker the other day that for the past 16 years as a dad, I have not been able to be a part of hobbies. The show I did the kids' hobbies. So the show I did in Nashville was 7 to midnight. Then came to the Joy FM, and it's like afternoons, but you're not really off till 7, so you're home by 7, 4. There's bedtimes, and so I haven't been able to, be a part of the stuff.
Yeah.
And you just obviously, we talked about this earlier about just being on the road, and it's a different lifestyle. So we're kind of similar lifestyles. Is there ever a moment you think to yourself, God, thank you for these gifts and stuff, but you look at somebody that does a 9 to 5 and it just feels normal? And the only person I've ever asked this of was Chris Tomlin, and he's like, he looked at a waiter one day and he was like, there's no pressure. I mean, there's pressure being a waiter, but I'm saying nobody's waiting. Their livelihoods are not dependent upon that waiter. And he's like, he told his wife, some days I just want to go forget this all. Yeah. That sounds like a morbid question. I don't mean it to be.
No.
Yeah.
I associated growing up, I had an incredible dad. And my mom was a stay-at-home mom. Dad worked at a paper mill, and he had a shift work job, but he was always available to coach T-ball teams. Yeah. And so I always correlated being a dad as like being involved in sports and like that kind of thing. And so whenever my oldest turned 5, it was the year that the Lord called us to step out and do this music thing full time. Yeah. So all of a sudden, the first chance that I got to be T-ball coach, it felt like the Lord took that from me. And it was a real recalibration for my heart. And yeah, that's the thing is like growing up, there was, I didn't have big aspirations. I come from Buna, Texas. There's not a whole lot of roads that lead from Buna, Texas to Nashville, Tennessee. So the dream of being a musician came later in life. I was a youth pastor for 10 years. That came at the very end of high school. But as a kid, I was the most excited to be a dad. Like that was really like being a dad and a husband was what I got to see in my house. And I had a great set of parents and a great dad. Yeah. And so, there's a lot of times where I'm going like, man, I wish I could punch a clock at 5 and then be able to be home, be involved, show up at the games, cheer them on, instead of FaceTiming or having to hear about the science project on the phone or trying to figure out those things. So but again, that's one of those deals too, that the pandemic has been one of those things that we've tried to say, God, there's purpose in everything. We're going to try to see the fruit of this opportunity that we have right now. And so that's kind of what I've really kind of been able to be like a full-fledged merit badge dad. Actually do the thing this time, waking up and sling breakfast and do the whole deal. So I'm gonna.
Are you an apron? Do you do an apron?
I don't do an apron. I'm just like, I'll clean up afterwards. It's just let me go and feel the whole thing out. Let's fling it wherever it needs to go, and then I will take care of this when it's over with.
I read an article recently, Micah, that somebody took a poll of Americans that they think they could survive 2 weeks in the wild without dying. Is that high or low for you?
Is the bar just not die? Am I trying to thrive out there? Am I recolonizing an area?
This is an episode of Lost. It's just the question, how long do you think you could survive in the wild? And the average American said 2 weeks. Would that be high or low for you?
Okay, let me go through the ideas. Okay, if we're looking at jungle. I don't feel really great with my zoology of knowing what to mess with and not mess with.
Study of rocks, right?
Yeah, and then I've got, if I'm in a desert, I don't feel comfortable about being able to find like water in the ground. Are we talking like? It depends on my foliage and my landscape. Yeah. I think just average though. I don't know that I would make it. You know what? I read Lord of the Flies in 7th grade. I'd be fine. I think I could figure it out. You know
that
what?
was just surviving the other
Please,
kids.
Jesus, don't put me in the wilderness. But you know what? I'm sure it'd be fine.
Do you remember that song as a child about? It was very fear-based, but please don't send me to Africa. Okay, wow, that only made it.
No, I don't. But that's become my theme song for right now. Look at this moment right here.
You're gonna put it on your pirate album.
We're on a ship and we're just going to. If we get shipwrecked, I'm gonna be in trouble for at least 2 weeks.
I ended up being a missionary for 2 years, but I remember as a little kid, all the people that come speak at church had all these stories of people like, it's so dangerous out there in Africa. You could eat by line, and then some Christian artists, I think it made the radio. Like it was one of those comedy guys, like Mark Lowry.
Yeah.
And it was all about, please God, don't send me to Africa. And but the wilderness, I was just thinking like Texas, by yourself, no rescue.
Well, to be fair, I live in Buna, Texas. We barely have electricity and the internet over there. So I mean, I would say that I've thrived for 38 years now. So I guess I could do okay there. That's
You're
great.
OG surviving the wilderness.
When we first moved into our house like 8 years ago, we didn't have high speed internet, and so I called AT&T. I was like, hey, can we get internet in our house? And they said, hey man, you know what? We got a couple left. I'm like, a couple of internets? And he said, yeah. He said, yeah. So so they come out there and hooking up. And my neighbor comes over and goes, oh my gosh, did you get internet? And I was like, yeah. He goes, I got to call him. He called him. And I'm not lying. He goes, hey, my neighbor just got the internet. I was just see if I can get that over here. He goes, oh man, we are smooth out of internet right now. Like there was a jar of internet and I got the last one. So you know what? I guess technically I've been doing okay in the wilderness for a while.
Yeah,
this is great.
You're the crocodile hunter.
I probably am living it rougher than what I thought. Our mosquitoes are like birds over there. So I guess it's kind of like a game of Jumanji at all times where I live. It's great.
We were wrapping up with Micah Tyler, and I know you're on the road with Mercy Me this fall. And we did a contest, not a contest, but kind of asked the audience, what is the greatest song of faith all time? And we got tens of thousands of votes for a whole month. It got whittled from like Waymaker taking on Reckless Love, and whittled all the way down to I Can Only Imagine Amazing
the bracket
Grace.
Is okay. I Can Only Imagine Amazing Grace.
Which of those two is the now you're
contractually obligated?
I'm gonna go from
I don't think John
on the bill to
Newton's
opener.
not gonna come get me. I don't think so. I'm gonna go ahead and say I Can Only Imagine is the greatest Christian song not only have I ever heard, but that will ever be written. I'm just sure of it, at least until late November.
It is always great to have you in, and hopefully, when we start sharing some of these clips on socials with our audience, hopefully it crosses by and you'll be like, I remember doing that. Yes, you'll see the pirate thumbnail.
International
of the
Speak
video.
Like a Pirate Day is like late September, so at least it'll be on my radar as of that point.
Yeah,
I'll be ready to go.
Always great to have you.
Thanks, man.
Micah.
Thanks for having me.
The Thursday Afternoon Chat. Your favorite artists with Jayar.